Hi, thanks for attending my session today. Today I'm going to be presenting some ideas of how to grow your ELL department and strengthen your relationships with your colleagues. So this is applicable for grades K to 12. I'm not an expert on this topic, I just feel passionate about it. And I'm going to be sharing some ideas that worked for myself and for my colleagues. And hopefully you can come away with something that will help you to grow your department and will help you to have relationships with your colleagues bloom. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen here with you. Okay, so my name is Angela Campagna. Currently, I'm working as the school-wide ELL department lead at Korea International School in Jeju. So if you're unfamiliar with Jeju, here's a little map for you. It's the small island province just south of the mainland of Korea. I've been here for about 5 years and I'm originally from Canada. So a little bit of background about our school. We have one ELL specialist per grades 1 to 8, and we primarily use a co-teaching model. And we're in the process of using more WITA tools for assessment and for collaboration. I started up the ELLSA Jeju chapter a few years ago, and I really enjoy collaborating and connecting with other educators. So if you're on Twitter, please connect with me. There's my handle there at @MissCampagna_. And before I go on, I want to share why I'm here. So this is the first time I've ever presented at a conference before, and it's a little bit outside my comfort zone, but I wanted to challenge myself to share with you something that I feel passionate about, which is building collaborative relationships that support multilingual learners. So our agenda for today is fairly simple. I'm just going to present about 2 big topics: relationship building within your ELL department and beyond, and making your ELL department more visible. And then hopefully at the end, we'll have a little bit of time for some reflection. So the first topic is relationship building within your department and beyond. I really like this quote, "Bloom where you are planted." I feel like it's a great mantra for any teacher. You may find yourself in a situation where you're in a difficult co-teaching relationship, or maybe you're in a school setting that just isn't the best fit for you. Wherever you are, it's a great mindset to have. Sometimes you might need to start slow and nurture that relationship with a difficult colleague, or take baby steps to overcome a big challenge. But hopefully you find a way to use your strengths and make a positive impact on your students or colleagues wherever you are. So when we're thinking of building relationships, I really like to imagine it like planting that seed and nurturing that seed until it begins to bloom. It's really important to grow those individual relationships, but we can't forget about strengthening the bonds between us all as a team. So we want to make our good team great. So to do this, we need to believe in and become confident in our abilities to make a difference. So this is what collective efficacy is all about. So when your team has a shared vision and a shared belief that they really can make a positive impact, you can create positive change in your school. Hopefully this can boost your students' achievements and lead to a more collaborative culture as well. So what is essential in all this? Relationships. People matter. Human resources matter. Human resources are the most important resource in any organization. I might be a little bit biased in this thought because prior to going into education, my background was in human resources. So I really truly believe that we need to focus on building those relationships between colleagues if we want to meet our students' needs. So how do we do this? How do we build those relationships that are essential for creating a collaborative culture centered on student success? So for my team and I, it's been helpful to examine our school's target learning behaviors for students and then reflect on how we can model this as teachers. So maybe your school uses the IB Learner Profile, or maybe you have some kind of character ed program. My school uses these 4 learning behaviors here, and I've gone ahead and framed the concept of relationship building or team building with these 4 learning behaviors in mind. As a department leader, this has been really helpful for me to reflect more about what it means to communicate, collaborate, be respectful, and responsible in my particular professional context in order to help build relationships within our ELL department and beyond. So I think if you want to build that collective efficacy surrounding collaborating to support multilingual learners, you need to start first with your own department. Hopefully you have a department to work with. Sometimes that might be a luxury. Maybe you have 2 people, or maybe there's 10 people. Whatever the size of your department, you can take steps towards building your team. If you're on your own, you can still take these ideas and reflect on them and think about how you might be able to build relationships with other colleagues. So here are a few pictures of members of our school's ELL department from over the years. I'm not saying that you need to go out and be like BFFs or even friends together, or even have like, these matching Christmas department sweaters. But building your team's collective efficacy is all about establishing shared goals and a shared belief that you can work together effectively as professionals to make a positive impact in your school community for your students. So it might be a little bit cliche, but take the time to get to know your colleagues. It's really valuable to build that cohesive team and trust and sense of community, just like you would do with your students. So one thing that might get overlooked when we are working on a team is finding out more of your colleagues as collaborators. So why are they here and what motivates them? Here's a little graphic of the SCARF model, which was created by a neuroscientist, Dr. David Rock. The model identifies 5 social drivers of human behavior. So there's status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. So the SCARF model allows us to classify and understand the social triggers that might drive our behavior. And in the workplace, this model allows us to be proactive and design the right kind of interactions that would maximize rewards and minimize threats for our team and for individuals. So a few years ago, my team went through this little chart here, and we identified our main drivers. It gave me a better understanding of myself and of my colleagues. And knowing that several people on the team in particular were heavily influenced by certainty meant that we just needed to be more patient and spend more time clarifying expectations. We needed to have well-organized meeting agendas, establishing a clear plan, and not like making unnecessary changes at the last minute. It was really insightful, and it highlighted the fact that we were all similar, but we also were very different. So when you're working on a team, you don't all have to be the same. Having different opinions, different strengths, different perspectives is how your team can grow, but it's good to be aware of these similarities and differences. So let's keep going. Whether or not your colleagues are driven by certainty, it's a great idea to deconstruct your job description as a team to clarify any kind of misunderstandings that may happen about your job so that everyone feels comfortable and confident in their role. So as ELL teachers, our jobs are often dynamic. They're changing, they're dependent on student need. But however, if you have a long list of roles and responsibilities like we did, it's helpful to categorize them into big ideas together, which will provide more clarity. And this is something we've done with the elementary school ELL team several times over the past few years, as we've had new members join our team. And it's also helpful even for returning members to re-examine that job description as it's evolved over the years. The first year we did this with our team, it stayed on the board in our shared office the whole year as a visual reminder of what our roles and responsibilities were. So with the elementary team this year, we also took it a step further by looking at our school-wide ELL department's program aims one by one, and then tying all our roles and responsibilities into them. So we've got this poster up in our office that I just created on Canva, just connecting our team's goals with the roles and responsibilities that we have can be really helpful to spark conversations in the team. So topics such as, are we living out our school department's mission and vision? What are some areas that we feel successful in? What are some areas for growth? And what resources do we need to achieve our goals? So having these visual reminders of like your program aims or mission and vision really help keep you focused on building that team mentality. So of course, any great team will have shared goals. As a school-wide department this year, we made a simple haves and wants T-chart to identify a few things we'd like to work on. And it's helpful to re-examine it throughout the year and use it to celebrate success and identify areas that you still need to work on in the future. So of course, once you've got your team goal, you need to figure out a plan of how you're going to achieve it. So this is a big disclaimer here. I just kind of made up this compass protocol. I wanted something that stood for NESW, so you can feel free to modify this to meet your own needs. But this really helped to figure out like how we were going to change, how we were going to achieve our team goal. And once again, this just lived on our board the whole year, just as a visual reminder of like where we're going and how we're going to achieve our goals. Another way to build your ELL department's team is to take turns doing these expert talks. So this promotes the idea that everyone is valuable, everyone has something valuable to contribute, even if they've only been on the team like 1 year or like 10 years, or they've been teaching only for a few years or for a very long time. So we schedule this and take turns doing it. So basically someone presents a resource and we have a discussion about it and think about how we can apply that resource in our own professional context. So this really helps build capacity and team cohesion, sparks new ideas, and it really helps build a culture of professional inquiry amongst your teammates. Doing peer observations has been some of the best professional learning. So observing other co-teaching partnerships or observing someone's small groups. So this is super important before you go observe someone, to just reiterate the fact that the purpose for the visit is for the observer to reflect on their own teaching and not to critique someone else's teaching. If all teammates go through this process within a short period of time, so say like within 2 weeks, everyone on the team goes and observes someone else, then at one of your later meetings, you can come together and reflect and share the new learning that you had while observing other teachers. So this really boosts confidence and morale. Going through PD together can be really valuable. Doing this helps build a shared understanding. So here's a picture from just a couple weeks ago, watching a WIDA webinar together. There's so many free webinars out there, and hosting these watch parties together, the beauty is that you're all there at the same time, same place. You can reflect together and reflect on how you're going to apply your learning. So it's really valuable as well to watch the video on your own time and then come together and reflect. But in my experience, I found that having these like shared watch parties are really truly valuable in building those bonds as a team. So I highly recommend to do this with your teammates. So at the beginning of the year, a few years ago, we did a PD session during orientation week with all elementary homeroom and ELL teachers. It was all about collaborating to support multilingual learners. And one of the best activities we went through was the Head, Heart, and Feet activity, which I've seen presented by Andrea Honingsfeld and Tan Huynh. So basically every team had a Google Jamboard page, and they put little virtual sticky notes to talk about what was intellectually important to them, emotionally important, and what they valued about their physical space. So it was really interesting to read different teachers' responses. So super insightful. So I learned, for example, that one of my new teachers was not a morning person. She liked to spend the mornings reflecting on her day and not getting interrupted. So this was a great piece of information to know. So then I made sure that I didn't, just stop by her class randomly in the morning or schedule meetings with her in the morning. And another one of my new co-teachers said that sometimes her emotions and her passion would somehow get misunderstood and become intimidating during meetings. So having these little tidbits of information helped me to manage my relationships with my co-teachers and as individuals, and also helped us to get to know each other better as a team. Another part of this orientation workshop presentation that we did was to sit together in our grade level teams and reflect on mindsets for collaboration. So this activity was inspired by the work of Tan Huynh. And here were the directions for the teams. I just copied this slide right from my slide deck. So they had to sit together, think of a positive collaborative mindset that they would like to have, name it, make a little poster. I'm going to show you some of the results they came up with. So super creative, coffee mindset, like bridge the gap, ecosystem, banana puzzle, growing together. I really like this PB&J, like bringing together two separate and different flavors. So like ELL teacher and homeroom teacher or content teacher to make an even better product. Yum. So super creative. It was a really nice activity. We did a little gallery walk at the end. It was a great activity to get everyone in that collaborative mindset right from the get-go at the beginning of the year. So some of the best tips I ever got about co-teaching came from Angela Campagna. So she said that it's really important to compliment your co-teacher every day. So I feel like this has really made a difference with my relationships. So maybe you've had a difficult relationship, maybe your teaching styles and personalities are like total polar opposites, and it's hard for you to find something positive to say, but just please try to find something. It could be a compliment about their lesson or their classroom environment, or maybe just what they're wearing. A little compliment goes a long way. And the other one was shifting from I-centric to we-centric language. So this is super important, and this helped me personally to achieve equity among homeroom teachers as an ELL teacher, and to really put our focus on the students and collaborating to support our students. So using language like our students, our class, our lesson, instead of my group, my lesson, my this. So if you don't already have a co-teaching agreement, I highly recommend it. They just eliminate a lot of misunderstandings about roles and responsibilities to help you have a smoother relationship down the road. So this is especially helpful if you're getting into a new co-teaching partnership. So when you sit down and make this agreement together, it opens up conversations about collaborating and hopefully can lead you on a path towards engaging in this collaborative instructional cycle, which is pictured here in this great graphic by Wida. So I put a sample here that you can check out later. I will link the folder with all the resources, but of course you can modify it to your own needs. There's so many templates out there on the internet, but I highly recommend going through this process with your co-teachers. And if co-teaching isn't happening yet in your school, find other ways to collaborate. So my former grade 1 team and I came up with this shared virtual word wall to support our students and their families. So most of our students are Korean, and we ended up having each homeroom teacher take one subject area and pick out key vocabulary for the unit. And the teaching assistant translated everything into Korean. And then I compiled them in Google Slides. So just by entering, just put a chart in, and then you can use this online voicerecorder.com, which is totally free, to put in these little audio snips of you pronouncing the words. So really awesome, really collaborative, and just very easy way to start collaborating with your team. So you can check out the link to it a little bit later on. And another great way to build relationships with colleagues is co-reflecting with them. So keep those reflections student-focused and use that we-centric language. So here's a few questions that we had on our anchor chart, and then we placed our sticky notes to reflect and think on them. So as I mentioned before, like, you don't need to be BFFs with your colleagues, but having these professional collaborative working relationships that are student-centered is key. So making space for these kind of conversations is really helpful to establish that. And of course, one of the components of the collaborative instructional cycle is co-assessing. So it's easy to get into the habit where you're collecting your own data on your students and your co-teachers doing the same, but why not like just share that together? Remember that the we-centric language, like our students, our data, collecting and sharing data together and then co-reflecting on it is a great way to start collaborating with colleagues, even those that you might not have the warmest relationship with. So you can use the data as a starting point for conversation and collaboration. So just by initiating a simple data sharing and looking at like, what do you notice or what do you wonder? These two just very simple questions can really help spark some collaboration. And of course, celebrating together. When you collaborate together, you should celebrate success together, sharing professional and personal wins. And you don't have to wait until the end of the year or the end of the term to celebrate. You can do that anytime. Success is best shared best when it is shared, just like this quote says. So we're on to part 2. Our next topic is making your ELL department more visible. So it's easy to get thrown into this small like storage room or small hidden office in your school that's hidden away from the rest of your school community. So ELL departments are critical for the success of any school with multilingual learners. And we need to just get out there and create some buzz. So generate some interest in all things ELL so we can really have a collaborative professional culture. So you've grown those relationships from little seeds to blossoming flowers and plants. And now it's time to bring your ELL department into the big picture on a divisional or a school-wide level. So getting your faculty on board with all things ELL and planting that seed that they are all language teachers is not very easy. So how are you going to do this? How are you going to create this buzz, create this interest in collaborating to support multilingual learners? So going along with this garden theme of the presentation, I was kind of thinking like, okay, well, what buzzes? So the first 2 things that came to mind were bees and mosquitoes. So bees are hardworking and they're useful, but people are scared of them. And for mosquitoes, they're just generally annoying at all times. So don't create buzz at your school by being the bee or being the mosquito. And I was thinking, well, what else buzzes? So in Korea, we have a lot of dragonflies. So I'm going to use the dragonfly to symbol how I'd like to be as an ELL teacher, because I really like what the dragonfly represents in most cultures around the world, which is this symbol of change and renewal and transformation. So no one that I know of is scared of or hates dragonflies. So I thought this would be a fitting symbol for us here. So when dealing with your colleagues and trying to create some interest or generate some buzz in your school regarding ELL, be the dragonfly. Don't be that bee, don't be the mosquito. In the next bunch of slides, I'm going to share a lot of photos and practical ideas that you can use to create some buzz. So ideas that don't require a lot of planning, but are meaningful professional interactions that can help you build a more collaborative culture in your school to support your language learners. And providing choice is the key to maximizing engagement. So the first one is very low stakes but high impact. If you're on social media, create your own department hashtag. We had a poster of it on our office door, and ours was hashtag ELLKISJ, and it's sort of morphed to hashtag MLLKISJ. But getting your department members and your colleagues posting about what they do and then retweeting what they see other teachers doing and using these hashtags really shows that you're all language teachers. You're all on the same team with that common goal of supporting multilingual learners. So when you get people outside your department to start using these hashtags, like this one here by our head of school, you're golden. The next idea is to take advantage of this amazing resource by Tan Huynh, the bathroom briefs. So if you're not already familiar with them, you need to go check them out now. So when we first introduced them, it was kind of silly, like we were running around the school, taping them up in the staff bathrooms. It was kind of tedious, but when I saw content teachers actually starting to use them, it was the best thing I could have ever imagined. So this is a tweet here from my colleague Jordana, who teaches 2nd grade homeroom. And she took a picture of the bathroom briefs and wrote, "When you finally realize where you got that idea from," and then a picture of how she used it in her classroom, which was brilliant. And then of course, it's always nice when you've got colleagues like asking for more bathroom briefs, like when's the next one coming up? Like you need to change those. Like I truly didn't know that anyone was reading these, so our efforts felt recognized. It was really nice. And an easy way to subtly share those ELL strategies in a non-threatening way, just like the dragonfly. So another idea is to just create a professional library and inventory sign out. So if you've got a lot of resources, why not share them? Like just make an inventory list on Google Sheets, use Google Forms to make a little survey, and then have a QR code for easy scanning and sign out. So even if people are coming to check something out, like that's an opportunity to spark a conversation for collaboration. So it's a really low stakes but high impact way to start collaborating with people. This one's a new one we started this year. So I got the idea from reading this great book, DIYPD by Katie Topol, Tan Huynh, and Carol Salva. So it's the ELL 1515 bulletin. So basically what it is a list of curated resources that people can check out if they have 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 15 minutes. So instead of just emailing it out all the time, we put the link permanently on our school intranet. It's always on our school-wide weekly update. So anytime someone wants to access this resource, if they have 1 minute to look at a quick resource, or if they have a little bit longer time, 5 minutes or 15 minutes, they'll know where to find it and it won't get lost in their inbox. And I've listed a sample here of a couple of the ones that I've created for our school, but feel free to take this idea and run with it. It's a really effective way to offer people choice of what they want to read about. And of course, interactive bulletin boards have been one of our most successful things. So just creating a little bit more buzz, a little bit more action around our department area. So we had an ELL welcome one where we all had riddles that we posted up with our photos, and it was really funny because a lot of the students got really excited about it, and they were coming up to us and was sparking these conversations like, I've been thinking about your riddle, like I can't figure out what it is, like you need to tell me right now. So that was kind of a fun way to make our department a little bit more seen. And this is a really nice one created by my colleague Michelle, who teaches 4th grade ELL, spreading kindness around the school. And we did a collaboration with the counseling team about social language with these really nice sentence stems. What can you say when you want to play? The book recommendations was a really big hit. And then we just created this really giant Venn diagram. So at the time, grade 1 was learning about comparing and contrasting. So this was a great opportunity to come up to this bulletin board with my co-teacher and co-teach together. And the kids could interact, and they got really excited about seeing their work up on the wall in the hallway. So I highly recommended making some interactive bulletin boards. And then, of course, ELL Professional Book Club. So this is something we started this year. If you need suggestions for book recommendations, check out these hashtags. We were lucky to get people involved from all divisions, including administration as well. So just put some posters up around the school, generate some interest, make some cute little bookmarks on Canva, make it a fun event, and make it flexible and low commitment level for teachers so that they're more likely to participate. So of course, reaching out to students' families has also been really great to promote our department as a really important part of our school community. So doing those coffee talks, having like little seesaw accounts, doing parent conferences, and creating fun digital resources. So our team created these like Bitmoji classroom resources. So parents and kids could go on there and find resources that were related to the content they were learning in class. We translated a lot of them into their home languages. All of these things really helped us strengthen our relationships as we collaborated with families to support our students. And it really made families feel that our department was a really important part of their child's development. So I'm going to skip this for now. At the end, I'm going to share the folder. There's a Google Jamboard link for reflection in there. There's a lot of links that you can check out. And hopefully you'll find something on there that somebody else has shared, or maybe you can put down some questions that you still have that we can revisit later on in the day during the ELLSA conference. So my last couple of slides, when I was preparing this presentation, I was thinking about that quote from the beginning. Bloom where you're planted. And it reminded me of another one, be always blooming. So wherever you are, be always growing personally and professionally as a collaborator to best meet the needs of your students. I stumbled upon this beautiful garden in Jeju a few years ago, and I had never seen poppies growing in the wild before, and they stood out to me as so beautiful on their own. But they were complemented so nicely in this particular garden by the other flowers that were also growing alongside. So in a garden, there are different flowers. They're all blooming at different rates. They all need the same essentials like sun, air, water, soil to survive, but one may need more of one thing than another. So alone, each flower is really beautiful, but together they complement each other. So on our own, we can be good, but collectively, when we work together, we can be great. We can be that beautiful team that's bloomed. So this is not easy work to do, to creating these collaborative relationships in your department and advocating for your department. So please be kind to yourself. So I shared these permission slips with my team, and I want to share them as well with you. They're also linked in the folder. So wherever you are, just give yourself permission to make a mistake or take a risk or start again, or just learn from your mistakes. So whatever you need, just take it. Give yourself permission to do that. So I hope that wherever you are, you feel like you've come away with one thing that's useful to help your department or your relationships bloom. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation today. It's really been a pleasure presenting to you. I hope you found something useful here. So please reach out to me on email or on Twitter, and you can use the hashtag ELLSAPD, ELLSAPD, to interact with others about today's sessions on social media. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day, and hopefully you get a chance to reflect a little on the Jamboard and check out some of the resources in my folder. Thank you so much. Bye. Have a great day.